This is a really great meeting. We are so excited. I'm looking at the count, and I know some of you had a conflict with an elementary activity at Lilburn Elementary, and you had to make a decision, or maybe you're in two locations at one time. We meet once a month, just about, here at Lilburn Middle School with our families, because we know that you all have very important information to receive, but we also just want to talk to you every now and then just to hear how everything is going and hear what you need in order for the school year to run smoothly. I am Dr. Irish. You can see my name on my window screen here. And we're going to just kind of work through a little bit of technology before we get started. We want all families to be able to hear, whether you're in the Spanish speaking room or the English speaking room. We did have a question about a Vietnamese speaking room. We're working on that, getting a translator or interpreter to help us with that in the future. But right now we have Spanish and English. Mr. Doyne has given instructions on getting into those rooms. Is there anyone who's having tech issues or needs help in any kind of way before we get started? I saw one hand raised, but then it went down, so I think we're okay. All right, there's one person in the waiting room. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna share my screen and then we'll start our conversation. This is our first Inform with Irish for this school year. This is something that we have started up here at Lilburn Middle School as a way to connect to all of our families and just to, have a place where you can feel like you can talk to us. You can hear information firsthand. We want to let you know that if there's a particular topic that you want to hear about or have us talk about, we are more than happy to help organize that. In the past, we've organized topics around self-harm. We've organized topics around how to be successful in school. We've organized topics around cell phones and the dangers of technology. So these ideas came from you all. And so this year, if there's something that you want to hear about, please reach out and let us know, and we will organize that learning opportunity. Every time we meet for about 1 hour. And during the session, you will hear information about what's happening at school. And we also give you some information about how to work with your children, because we know raising middle school children is a very difficult task. It's very difficult. I am on my third middle school student personally. And the other two have successfully made it on up to college. But I know that it is touch and go at sometimes. You just wonder how it's going to turn out. And you do your very best. But it does take a team and it takes a village. So we are part of your village. As a school, we're part of the team, and we really want to help you to be successful in helping your children, and because they're all of our children. So welcome to our first Inform with Irish session for the school year. We have some very esteemed staff members on this call who are home with their own children, or some are still here at school, but we want to give them a chance to just say hello to everyone. As you heard, I'm the principal of Lilburn. I'm Nicole Irish. And I just love being here in Lilburn. We have a great school community, awesome families, and together we're going to have a great year. So whoever wants to chime in, I see Miss Edwards, I see Miss Warren, Miss Noller, Miss Berger. We have a few, and Mr. Doyne, of course, a few familiar faces. You can just unmute and say hello. Oh, you're not allowed to unmute. Mr. Doyne has muted them. So he will unmute them to say hello to you.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Edwards. I serve as the Proud Mustang 7th grade counselor. And I'm glad to be here today.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Berger, and I'm the new 8th grade counselor. And I'm just getting to know everyone, to know your children. And we're off to a really good start so far this year. So nice to meet all of you.
All right, good evening. I'm Sina Nollard. I'm our attendance counselor at Lilburn Middle, and I'm super excited to be meeting all of you tonight and getting to work with your sweet students this year.
Mr. Doyne.
Yes, hi, I'm Mike Doyne. I work in the Parent Center at Lilburn Middle School, and I'm really glad to be here with you all this evening.
Okay, so we know time is so valuable, so we're gonna move right through this presentation. When we get to the very last slide, I know a lot of times you're not sure, do I stay, do I leave? So what we're gonna tell our families is that when we get through our presentation, if you have no more questions, you're welcome to exit the call. And if you have additional questions that may be more private, then you can reach out to us and we'll set up a time to talk with you about that privately. All right, so we want to ask you, we know most of us are home. What is the most interesting thing that you have in your home? You can put it in the chat or you can bring it up to the camera to show everyone what you have. This is a show and tell opportunity. What is the most interesting thing that you have in your home? Okay, so do you have anyone showing us anything? Do we have anything going in the chat? I see a hand raised. I can't see the chat, so can someone tell us if anyone's typing? Okay, so let me show, oh, someone said my child, my family. I was gonna say, some people might say yourself, like if you're really a really interesting person. I have this. I keep this in my office. I had a friend make this for me out of burlap and she hand painted it. Like she just made it one day and gave it to me. So this is pretty interesting. I keep it in my office here at school, but I thought that was something cool to show you. Does anyone have anything else that is interesting in their home? My children, my vision board, panels. Okay, so keep the ideas coming. We know that our home is our little special place. And sometimes we have very cool things in our home that no one ever gets to see. So this is our chance to show that off. All right, so we want to welcome you back to a brand new school year. Our theme this year is the greatness within. We believe that every student, every staff member, every parent, every school has greatness within it. And through working together and through positive interactions, we're going to bring that greatness out of each person. So that is our theme this year. We're focused on bringing that greatness out of all of our students. We know that they're in middle school. They are not finished products. They're still growing and learning. And so during that process, we do want to encourage them and teach them that they do have something great within them and find ways to bring that out throughout the school day. So that's our theme. We will be playing the game as we go through our meeting tonight. But this game is going to involve you to pay very close attention to details. As we go through, you're going to see an image that looks like what's on the screen. And Sabi, let me know if I need to slow down a little bit for you. You good? Okay. So there'll be an image of a lock and next to it will be a number. So the person who pays close attention and actually collects the correct number will be able to unlock a treat that we will have prepared for you to pick up from our school. So sometimes we just lose track and we forgot to write down the last number. Unfortunately, I would not be able to go back to show you what was on the slide. You'll have to just write down whenever you see the number, write it down somewhere. And then when you have the complete code at the very end, I'm going to ask you to tell me the code and then we'll see who will win this round. All right. And we do play games every time we meet because we think that sometimes it's a very serious job to be a parent of a middle schooler. So why not have fun with other parents of other middle schoolers? So when we meet together, we'll make it a useful learning time, but also fun. Okay, so here we go. We want to thank you for a great open house. We actually have a team of people led by one of our new administrators, Miss Fertney, who put together a new concept for open house. There were some colored signage, some different stopping points for you. We heard some really good feedback. We do encourage you to continue to give us that feedback as we plan for next school year. But we did have a great turnout for open house and we had a lot of good reviews. So we feel really good about it. But if there's something that you want us to know about it that we can help us as we plan for next year, we would love to hear it. But there's a picture of maybe some of you. I'm not sure if you guys are in that photo right there. But we did want to just thank you for coming out for open house. Mr. Doyne?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Arash. We are getting some questions and comments in the chat. Did you want to talk about how you wanted to handle questions during this meeting?
Okay, so maybe we can do a parking lot and then at certain points, that way we could keep it going. And then at certain points, we can stop to take the questions. Do we have
Okay,
one of our staff members, can someone collect the questions as they come up?
thank you. And I'll ask, I don't know if there's a counselor that's willing to do that, to try to keep track of the questions. Some of them are in Spanish, so I'll try to catch those myself.
Okay, but yeah, we definitely welcome questions, but we also want to respect time of those who are here for a short time, so that we can get through the presentation, but then we do have a time where we will open it up to questions.
I'll send this.
Hey Siri, go ahead and send it.
Okay.
Done.
All right. In our district, we are still working through 2 categories of work at our school. So all schools in Gwinnett have activities that they have to do that are called supportive community activities. And this is to help staff and students feel like they have a place to belong, to feel comfortable in school, to feel good about the school year, just really feeling positive. Then there's another category of things that we have to do at our school and all schools in Gwinnett that are called academic press. So this is like, you're probably going to notice a lot of intervention programs coming back, tutoring opportunities, extra help. You may get a letter that your student is being invited to go to a different class during a time in our school day. So there's a lot more focus being placed on getting students back to performing at grade level or above. So these are the 2 categories of work that we're doing at our school year again this year. All right, so what will it look like? We do have intervention classes. We have a lot of intervention classes. Some are on during the school day, some are after school, and some are on Saturday. In the past, we've had teachers help us to identify those students, but we're asking you to provide that information to your grade level counselor and homeroom teacher if you feel like there is a learning opportunity that you want your student to participate in. We did have questions last year that maybe we had intervention classes, and if a student was not invited, a parent was wondering, well, how do I get my child to be able to go to that? So if you feel like something that we have to offer fits what your child needs, just go ahead and reach out to the grade level counselor and copy the homeroom teacher on that request. Tutoring is free. I don't know if, how many people are familiar with the cost of private tutoring, but it's quite expensive. We do offer it for free, no charge. The only thing that we ask is that you come on the day assigned to that course for tutoring, and it is at 8:15 a.m. So when you drop your child off for tutoring, we do ask that you communicate to the teacher ahead of time that you plan to do so, to make sure that they are prepared to receive your child. But we do have tutoring being offered here at our school. The rotation is out on our website. And again, free of charge. We just invite you to take advantage of that. Your child does not have to be struggling to come to tutoring. If you want them to just have extra help and just stay on top of their work, they're welcome to come as well. You'll also notice that we'll have morning meetings. If you were a student in our building, your day may seem a little different this year because versus you working directly with your classroom teacher on whatever, advisement lesson or information needs to be shared, we're doing it school-wide. So all students across our building will hear the same information. They'll experience the same academic opportunities that we have, and they will also have the same advisement lessons delivered at the same time. And we're doing this so that no student feels like, I didn't hear that or I didn't get that. We want all of our students to have the same opportunities across our building. You'll also notice that we have a big promotion of clubs and activities. And the reason that we're doing that is because we really want our students to be exposed to different learning opportunities, to be, feel like they're getting enrichment in addition to their normal classes. So we have currently about 16, maybe 15 clubs that are open. But last year we had over 30. So we anticipate that, the same number will eventually be open, but right now we do have some that have been advertised every day so far. They're rolling enrollment. We only have, I think Yearbook Club is full, right, Mr. Doing? You're full. But every other club that I've heard of are still accepting students, but that's the best way to get your student to help to be a positive force in the school is to participate in clubs and activities. So they are open and you just have to have your student go to the grade level office to pick up a form and fill it out and they can join in. All right, and I think we have questions, so we'll take a pause to clear some questions out of queue. Mr. Doyne, do you want to, was there one that?
There was one that came up a couple times, just a little more details about how the tutoring work. Is there a sign up necessary? Days, times, that kind of thing?
Okay, and let me, I'm trying to get my hands on the rotations. I want to say we have Connections Tuesday, Math and Social Studies on Wednesday, and then Thursday is ELA and Science. And that's not directly in front of me, but I believe that that's the rotation. So 8:15 on Tuesdays, you can bring your student up to the school. Make sure you communicate with the teacher first, and then they can participate in tutoring for their connection class. On Wednesday, they can go to either math or social studies. There's probably not enough time to do both, but you can decide which course you want them to go to communicate to that teacher. And then at 8:15 until 8:50, they will be receiving tutoring with that teacher in the classroom. And then on Thursday, we have science and ELA. So their language arts class and science will take place. And again, email the teacher and then you can bring them up. There's no charge, but we do just ask for that communication to make sure that we know for safety where our students are, and then also for preparation, how many are coming to the session. Now, you can organize a tutoring session with a teacher on any other day, even if it's not the exact tutoring day. You can reach out to them to see if they are available to work with your student, or sometimes the teacher may reach out to you. Is there anything, counseling team or Mr. Doyne, that I didn't mention that needs to be added about tutoring?
Dr. Arch, I did have a question. From my understanding, because I want to make sure that I understand. Is the intervention classes, does that include like a reteach, reassess opportunities for students? I know we've had that in the past.
So we have different intervention classes.
Okay.
So iSuccess takes place on typically Thursdays. They're so organized, but typically on Thursdays after school. And that's a make-up work opportunity. So if your student is just kind of missing assignments or falling behind, it's a space where they can get things caught up. On Saturdays, not every Saturday, but there's going to be a schedule sent out to the parents of the students who are invited. On selected Saturdays, there will be what we call MMIP. So that's Mustang Mastery Intervention Program. And on those Saturdays, there will be a reteaching happening. So your child's teacher will identify what they're struggling with, and it's a Saturday intervention program that we offer. During the school day, because you see how on the screen it says tutoring, that is a new piece, and we actually have an organization called University Tutors. They're real live certified teachers who work for a separate organization. They do not work for Gwinnett, but they're coming into our school during the school day to work with selected students while they're in their class. So that's another thing that we have added on this year. And those are kind of it. Your teachers could also do something called working lunch. We have a classroom right next to the cafeteria. And if a child is really behind in their work, the teacher could take them to that classroom to work during lunch. We try not to do that because kids really need that time to socialize. But if they're really, really behind, the teacher may say, let's go over to the working lunchroom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Arch, there are two hands up. Would you mind if I ask them to unmute and ask their question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get this first one here. Okay, señora Lucero, quizás tiene una pregunta. Señora María Lucero tiene la mano levantada. O otra persona de Zoom, dice usuario de Zoom, ¿Tiene una pregunta porque tiene la mano levantada? Ok. Nos podría mandar una pregunta por los mensajes aquí, pero voy a bajar las manos por un momento.
Okay, so you'll take it down. And I think
Okay.
they raised their hands a while ago, so it may have been
Okay.
something.
I
Okay,
think there's
thank you,
somebody here
Heather.
that has a question. ¿Tiene alguna pregunta la persona con la mano levantada? Quizás no.
Sounds like she's trying to speak, but maybe not.
And then it looks like Miss Ortega has her hand up. Okay. Señor Ortega, ¿tiene alguna pregunta? Miss
Hola, buenas tardes.
Sí, buenas tardes, bienvenidos.
Y la pregunta es que si yo fui antier a la escuela y necesito saber si pudieron arreglar sobre mi hija Verónica Navarrete, que un alumno paga a otros compañeros para que me le estén pegando a mi hija. Y ahora es otra niña también que la está amenazando y eso no me gusta a mí.
Okay. She's saying her daughter, and she named her daughter. There's a couple of kids that are threatening her. And she just looking for some support for that.
Okay, so what we can do, Mr. Joyne, if you can obtain her contact information and let's talk to her offline.
Mhm.
For her daughter's privacy. We'll talk to her offline about it.
Okay. La señora que me preguntó si me podría mandar el nombre de la niña otra vez por mensaje directo para que podamos ayudar con este problema.
Yeah.
Sí, ella varias veces le ha dicho a su maestra que el niño le paga dinero a otros niños para que la golpeen a ella.
Okay.
Y por
Eso,
eso yo fui a la
sí.
escuela.
Sí, si me podría mandar un mensaje por mensaje privado para que hablamos en privacidad acerca del problema.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Por favor.
Because you see some students on the call as well, so we don't want to put anyone's, for anyone's child to put that out. But we do want to address it. So if you have something that pertains only to your child, we definitely want that information, but we don't want to put it out, in front of everyone. So, but we'll take that information. Is she going to email you, Mr. Joyne?
I've got the name.
Okay, you got it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we want to also let you know, some of our students were asked to go home and let you know that on September 15th, they will be charged for full lunch. So if you did not have a chance to do the free and reduced lunch form application, then you could see a sudden change in what your child is charged for lunch. And so we want to let you know that it is free now. If they got free or reduced last year, it's free or reduced now. But the grace period ends on September 14th. So on September 15th, they'll be charged for full lunch. There's a few exceptions. They're partnering with some other programs that are happening. So then sometimes that information can transfer over to our school. But in most cases, you have to do the application. So I just wanted to let you know, because I know we're really busy and sometimes that kind of, we lose track of that. But we want to remind you to get that done because that deadline is coming up really fast. All students should have received their device. We do need them to bring their device charged back to school each day. We don't have enough places for them to charge it while here at school, because we do have some students who will bring a fully drained battery with them, but we need them to make sure their device is charged every night, and they should be bringing it home and then back to school every day. Some of our students were trying to leave them in classrooms. That is not advisable because no one is there to monitor it and we don't have a way to secure it. So we're asking them to take it home and bring it back. We did provide supplies to our students. This was our first time doing that. But we do want to hear from you because we do hope to do it again in upcoming years. So if there's something in particular that you were hoping to see being given to them that you did not get, let us know, because we're thinking we gave them the basic supplies, but if you're feeling like there was something missing, or you wish that we would have added something to it, please let us know. And then when we're thinking about next year, we can make sure that the supply kits are really useful for you and your families. And we did that because we know you spend a lot of time running around looking for supplies. And some of us like that, but most of us would prefer not to have to do that. So we were trying to just help you and your families out. Some classes do require specialized supplies. If you're in a class that needs something very particular, that was not provided in the supply kit. So just be aware that some of your students may have needed 1 or 2 more items in addition to what we provided. All right, and then we need you to make sure your contact information is updated. Sometimes we have to reach out with important information, or we hope this never happens, but if your student's injured, and we don't have good contact information, then that really makes it challenging to communicate with you. But just make sure if you did not attend open house, that you reach out to us to let us know if you have any changes in your contact information. Okay, any new questions, Mr. Doyne, around anything that we just talked about?
Not that I saw. I don't know if anybody else caught one. There were some earlier that I would have to go back and find.
Okay. All right, promotion criteria. So the more we're moving away from COVID, the more they're going back to the normal expectations of students each year. I think the first year when COVID happened, pretty much all of our students were promoted. Like, it didn't really matter how you performed, we just promoted you. Then the year after, most of our students were pretty much just promoted. But you know, as we're moving further away, we're being told that students have to meet the promotion criteria. So we do want to talk to you about that ahead of time so that you have an idea of what they have to do. In 6th grade, our students have to pass 5 out of 6 classes, and language arts and math are 2 of the required classes. Then we don't really include milestones for 6th graders, but they are important because how they perform on the milestones could help us to make decisions later on. But they do have to pass 5 of their 6 classes. The connections are combined, typically to come up with an average, but we do need them to pass 5 out of 6, and math and language arts are required. The same goes for 7th grade. The only exceptions are some of our students have a very specialized plan, like if they have an IEP, or if they're English learners with a different type of plan. Sometimes we consider that information, but for the most part, students in 6th and 7th grade have to pass 5 out of their 6 classes. All right, so 8th grade is a little bit more complicated. There is a lot of information here, and I'm going to share this with Mr. Doyne, and he can send this out to all of our families. But they have to pass 5 out of 6, but they also have to pass some of the milestones exams. So there's nothing really to worry about with the milestones right now, because that happens in the spring. But all of our students really should be working every day to prepare to pass that milestones test. Waiting until April is probably too late. So we want our students to be thinking now, okay, I know I have to pass the milestones. Let me work every day to make sure I understand what's going on in my classes. Okay, any questions about promotion criteria? We will have lots of communication about it, so you will know if your child is on or off track. A good practice is every Friday, asking your students to pull up their student view account and then asking them to show you their grades. They'll tell you, oh, don't worry about it, everything's great. That hopefully will be true, but you should ask them to show you, because what's in the system is going to be what's accurately in the teacher's grade book. Okay, and if you're having trouble, meaning a grade has not been updated for a long time, or it seems like it's not accurate, reach out to the teacher who put the grade in the grade book, and then they can provide some more information. We do have some upcoming dates. I talked to you about September 14th. There's a lot of things to be completed. Of course, you can do it after this date, but of course, for the free and reduced lunch form, you want to get it done before September 14th. Or by September 14th. APTT night, this is a new way of meeting with our families to engage you in how our students are doing. I know that Mr. Doyne is going to talk to you a little bit about that during his portion. but just mark your calendars. Sixth graders, we're inviting you to come September 21st. And seventh and eighth graders, we're inviting you to come on September 28th. And this again is a new venture, but we think it's going to be really good for our community. And your first progress report that you should expect to receive is on September 14th. So if you don't quite know where to look for that, you should see that come home with your student. You could also check Parent Portal. I'm trying to think of all the locations, Mr. Where else can they check? Parent Portal, and their students will bring home a copy.
Correct.
Were you saying something, Ms. Edwards?
Yes, ma'am. I was just agreeing with you. You're doing a great job.
Okay, I'm trying not to overwhelm our families, but I do want to know the information they probably want. Here's the schedule. We did send this out. Maybe take a picture of it with your phone. That may be the best way to get this information right here. They were going to talk about a time in the day that is a little different this year, but this is their schedule for the year. We do ask when instruction is happening. I know sometimes we do have important appointments that we just have to get to and we really don't have a choice about it. But if it's not like a medical appointment or family emergency or, court activity that you have to do, we ask you to not interrupt the instructional time. And then what happens is when a student is being checked out, there is a loud buzz that happens in the classroom. It's very loud. The teacher has to stop teaching. And then there's a conversation between the front office and the teacher. And so no teaching is happening during all of this time. Then the student has to pack up. So it does create a big disruption for not only the child being checked out, but for all the kids in the class. So we ask you that if there's not like a real true emergency or a medical appointment that just cannot happen at any other time, that you allow your student to complete the school day as normal. And again, if you do have to check them out, communicate ahead of time and the teacher will have them ready to go by the time you arrive. All right, and I see a hand raised, Mr. Dwayne.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Just a request from our interpreter to slow down a little bit.
Okay, I was getting excited, Savvy, but I will slow down. Okay, all right, so this is really good information, but we'll let our interpreter catch up to us, and when she gives us the thumbs up, we can keep going. Okay. All right, so we want to talk to you about a time in our day that we call ELT. This is called extended learning time. Okay, this is the time where we are going to help most of our students who need extra help during this time. It happens right after homeroom, and so something that we notice is that some of our students are arriving late, and so they're coming a little bit after 9:20, but we really don't have a lot of time to work with them, but we do have a lot of good things that we're doing with them. But in order for them to really feel that and for it to show up in their academics, they have to be there for the whole time. Okay, so two things are happening during ELT. So ELT happens at 9:20 until 10:10. So 9:20 until 10:10. And I'm gonna let Sabby give me a thumbs up. Do you need me to go back, Sabby? Good, okay. So the first thing that happens is the first 10 minutes of every day. So not of every day, of every ELT time. Our students will participate in an SEL, so that's social emotional learning. So we're going to be working with them on an advisement topic. This is not new. Students in Gwinnett have always had advisement, but we're doing it school-wide. So our counselors will be actually leading these lessons. Students will be in their classrooms, and they will be participating from their classroom in a school-wide lesson. So pretty much like an assembly, just like you all are online, our students will be online for this lesson every day. And we think about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of time will be spent on this. We'll cover key topics like, and any counselor can unmute and chime in. You're welcome to join in. But this is going to be a key time. Did you want to talk about this now, Ms. Edwards? Okay.
I thought it was a great time to roll into it. Do you by any chance have that poster that is, yes, there we go. Again, good evening for those of you that just arrived. Thank you for being here. So SEL stands for social and emotional learning. And the basic knowledge for social emotional learning and rationale are within 5 components. So if we look at our screen, we see a beautiful, colorful wheel. And so one of the first components that we use, someone's drawing, is self-awareness. And this is where we are recognizing our emotions and values as well as our strengths and challenges. So we are really teaching our students to be self-aware of their own strengths and their own things that they need to work on. The second component is self-management. This is a really big one, especially since we've come out the pandemic, about learning how to manage our emotions and behaviors to basically ultimately achieve goals. And one of the things that we are really, really honing into is developing what we call SMART goals for our students. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they are realistic, and they are timely goals, okay? The third is social awareness. This is where we are teaching our students how to show understanding and empathy for others. For example, for students of different cultures and religious backgrounds. That's a really big one. The great thing about Lilburn Middle School that I love is that we have a plethora of cultures and religions to respect and understand, and we appreciate those things. The fourth component, which is a really, really big component, especially for middle school, is relationship skills. As you know, especially on social media, places like TikTok and Instagram, students may not be making the best decisions on how they use them. So this is the area of our social and emotional learning initiative that we are teaching our students how to form positive relationships, working in teams, and most importantly, dealing with conflict in a positive yet effective way. Specifically, we are teaching our students how to respond rather than react. And we're teaching them the difference between those. And the fifth and final component of social emotional learning is responsible decision-making. And this is a big one because it is a combination of all of the other 4 components that we are teaching our students. In this component, we specifically teach our students how to make ethical, rational, and constructive choices about their personal and social behavior. Again, we put that ball back in their court saying, hey, I see that you made this bad decision. What could you have done differently? How could you have been a part of the solution as opposed to the problem? So we are really teaching our students how to be independent within the framework of social and emotional learning. And that's it.
Wow, nice job, Ms. Edwards. And Ms. Edwards is our SEL coordinator for our school, and she works very closely with our counseling team and our teachers. And what she does is she not only does SEL for the students, but she helps to organize that with the team for our staff. So we do appreciate all of the hard work that goes into this. And it is important. I know that sometimes we may feel like this is taking away from academics, but what we see is that when we don't address this, a lot of time is spent dealing with it instead of learning anyway. All right, so the other part of our ELT time, and remember that's that 9:20 until 10:10 time, is that we focus on students who need additional help. So we wanted to let you know what that's going to look like. They will rotate through their team of teachers, and students will be focused on the following each day. So on Mondays, they're going to get extra help in math, all students in our building. Tuesday, they will have additional help in reading. Wednesday, they'll have additional help in math. Thursday, reading. Friday, we're going to be focused on PBIS, so that is our positive behavior intervention support. And students will be independently reading. Students are supposed to read, I think the research says 200 minutes per week. There's no way to fit that into a normal school week. And so we're going to help them get that started on Friday. But if you recall, Mr. Doyne posted something about us reading 20 minutes every night with our students. And so we're thinking between them reading 20 minutes every night, reading at school, that we can cover those 200 minutes of time. And Mr. Doyne, you can unmute and just jump in when you need to.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Raj. Just mentioning in the plan and the promise that we put together at the end of the last school year in advance of this school year, the plan and the promise, we are asking families to help us make sure students are reading at least 30 minutes a night. And then there's some other things that we're asking, but that was definitely one of the focuses that we did put in, that 30 minutes a night for this year.
Awesome. And it does, thank you, Mr. Doyne. And it does work, because we started with independent reading probably about 2 years ago. And we noticed that students are going to the media center, they're checking books out. They're really starting to embrace reading. And we know reading is power. So we want all of our students to be readers. Most of our students will be with their team of teachers during this time. Some will go off team because of a special program that they're a part of, such as students who are in the special education or EL program. Some will go off team because they need additional support that cannot be provided in the classroom. All parents will be made aware if your child is invited to go off team, you will know about that. So you will not just hear about it, you know, you will receive a letter and you will know ahead of time that that will happen. Something else that will happen on Fridays is we will celebrate student success, but we also celebrate it on a monthly basis. So I did put this in here, counseling team, if y'all want to share
Yes,
about.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, this is probably one of my favorite times a month, because I get to create a Mustang of the Month, Mustang Champion slides for wonderful students who worked hard to show our Mustang pride and to be recognized for their great work. And so this happens monthly, where we send the teachers a spreadsheet and they are to complete that per team. We like to do 4 students per team. That way they represent each teacher and the great work that they do. And the teachers are able to submit their names, and we're able to put it on a slideshow that is posted on our website, as well as the teachers' e-class pages. And then we also randomly pick 2 students, normally a male and a female, where they will get an opportunity to earn a free Chick-fil-A gift card and bracelets. And so they love those things. A lot of times when they get called to the office, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm there, was in trouble." And I'm like, "No, this is a great thing." Counselors really reward students and want to recognize you for the great work you do. And they appreciate that at the end of the day. And so that we ask you parents, that now that you learned about social and emotional learning and the components, as well as the Mustang Champions of the Month, we invite you to be a part of the initiative, to be able to celebrate our students and teach and reteach our students, even outside of school, those very important skills. I was reading some of the chat and I saw some of our parents like, yeah, social emotional learning is important, especially through adulthood. You are absolutely correct. So we really need your help to teach our students and reteach our students these expectations and these great skills to have, because it is an adult lifelong skill. And so it really truly does take a village to raise our students. So we appreciate you in supporting us in this initiative.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. I recently went out to one of our local businesses in Duluth, and they specialize in building satellites. So I was curious as like, what are you looking for in students? What are you looking for? What could we do to help our students to have the opportunity to possibly work here one day? They didn't name intelligence. They didn't name best grade in science or math. They named responsible, respectful, having that determination to get the job done, being able to work on a team. Those are the things that they said that they're looking for in future employees. So that's why we think that, you know, the SEL is really going to help our students to excel. Okay, so I'm going to move down, and Ms. Noller, did you want to summarize really quickly your attendance? I think she's unable to unmute. She needs help.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm so excited to be at Lilburn. This is my first year here. And part of my endeavors this year are to not only celebrate the students who are showing up every day and eager and ready to learn, but I'm also working with those students who are not showing up every day. So some of those who have absences, especially the unexcused absences. So I wanted to talk with everyone real quick about what our attendance protocol is. So first, this comes from our Gwinnett County Public Schools protocol. So it's on both the student and the parent handbook. This information is in there. But I'm just going to review what excused absences are. When your child is out of school, an excused absence could be that they have a illness, like their own personal illness, or something that they would be endangered if they came to school. If there was a death or a serious illness in the immediate family, that would be an excused absence. If they have a court order or they're asked to come to a government agency, that would be an excused absence. And also if they're observing a religious holiday, that would be an excused absence. So anytime that a student is not attending school, so whether they're absent or they're showing up late to school, we are asking that when they return, that they bring a note, whether that's from their parent or the doctor, to explain their absence. And these are given to the grade level academies when the students come back to school. Any student who has more than 10 unexcused absences is considered truant by the laws, by the state of Georgia. And so once they've hit that truant status, those 10 unexcused absences, I work with them along with our school social worker, and then eventually maybe even some other community agencies, because we really want to ensure that our students are attending every day so that they can be successful. Something that I've noticed for our students and parents recently as I've been working with them is that some of my students who've not been coming to school have been complaining of like stomach aches and headaches and things like that. And as I talk with them, there seems to, the students have a little bit of fear or worry or anxiousness when talking about coming to school. So that's something that I wanted to talk with the parents about, how to encourage your child when they're feeling like a little worried or a little anxious about going to school. So definitely that's one of my roles, is to work with you. So I would say reach out to me so I can help you support your student, but definitely encouraging your child to attend every day, even when it's hard. And I'll definitely work with you. And then making sure that, when you're talking about school, you're making positive comments about school and even your own experiences when you were in school, telling them of some positive experiences you had. But I look forward to working with everyone this year. I think I covered all of those. Thank you.
Ms. Noller, did you want to talk about the incentives? I know you're going to be.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. So one of the things that we're doing school-wide for students who have not missed any days, or as long as they have excused absences, because we're not encouraging sick children to come to school, but we do want a note. We have, through our positive behavior supports program, we're going to be doing popsicles for them in the early month of October to celebrate those students who are showing up every day. So we're really excited about that. And then we're also looking at doing some homeroom competitions coming up soon. Once again, to just encourage all of our students to be here every day. Just like we discussed, those employers out in the community, they're not specifically looking for a work skill. They are looking for work ethic, and showing up every day and attending school as part of our work ethic and how we show that we're ready.
Ms. Noller, this is Ms. Berger. I just saw a parent ask a question. If you can address it, they want to know when the student is out sick, who do they send a note to?
That is perfect. So thank you. That student can return with that note, and they take it to their grade level academy.
Excuse me, Miss Noller.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Irish and all, we at 7:15, Sabi does need to go to class, so I can take over the interpretation, but it would be in this general meeting. So I think we would have to go English and then Spanish starting at 7:15. And there were a couple of questions about is an email sufficient to notify a teacher, what, Ms. Noller, or any of the other counselors, or Dr. Irish? And I have that question myself. Do we need something written and signed and submitted with the student to turn in the grade level office, or can an email suffice, and to whom?
We are asking that is a written statement that's coming in with the student. Now, there are situations where, if they need to email it, but I don't want to make that a common happening. They need to bring it with the student whenever they're coming into the school. But certainly, if you want to inform your teacher, like your child's going to be absent, maybe that maybe they have a hospitalization that's coming up. If you want to inform your teachers in advance so that they can go ahead and prepare work for you and things like that, certainly you can communicate that via email.
Yes, and I'd also like to speak on that. Sometimes parents will call the school, and that's fine as well. But we just really want to be able to streamline that process of bringing the notes so that it can get entered correctly into the system, because sometimes teachers may be, they're teaching and they may miss that email. And so we definitely don't want to put that type of task on them. We want to take that off of them. And so our grade level clerks are tasked with making sure that the notes are entered into the system so they can be excused. So that's why.
All right, and then we're going to, I know we're going to lose Sabi in just a moment, but we're going to attempt to move on. And actually, Mr. Doyne, perfect transition, because you are up next with your updates.
Okay, so all right, so I'll just Sabi, if you can hang on till right at 7:15, I'll start in English, and then when you log off at 7:15, I'll switch to Spanish. We have a wonderful parent-teacher-student association, and the phrase I like to use is "many hands make light work," and the other one is "together everyone achieves more." The team acronym there. So if we can ask all families to join the PTSA, and that's the Parent-Teacher-Student Association, it's $8 per year. It's a one-time payment that we ask. And there's no requirement to volunteer time, although we would love to have your help at the school or at different events. If everybody could contribute that $8 per person for the year, we can do a lot more for our students, provide a lot more resources and programming. And that membership contest starts tomorrow. And the homerooms, the top 3 homerooms with the greatest attendance by percentage, they will win their choice of a pizza party or an ice cream party. So you can pay, and I'll put the link in the chat. You can pay on this link here, or you can pay cash to me in the Parent Center. The online payment is much easier, but I will. Of course, we're not going to turn down the cash, so I'm going to put down the link right now. So, and then that's been in every email to parents as well. So that starts tomorrow, and we can talk for days about the PTSA and all the great work that we do as a group. Dr. Irish mentioned the Vietnamese coffee with the principal for next Friday, pardon me, and the Title I annual parent meeting in a couple of Thursdays. You'll get more information about that. Very excited about the academic parent-teacher teams programs that we have coming up. They have existed in some shape or form at Nesbitt Elementary and Lilburn Elementary, and maybe even Rockbridge Elementary, where many of your children have attended. And you'll see more information about that. But we do expect family members to be at that event in September, where we're going to show information about a reading program that we want you to work on with your children at home, or at least make sure your children are working on. And we'll be going through how to use the parent portal as well. There's a ESOL family event coming up in September. The parent portal is something, and it's 7:15 now, so I'll go to English and Spanish now. Thank you so much, Sabi, for your help. Muchas gracias, Sabi, para su ayuda. And I'm going to turn off the let's see, I'm going to turn off the interpretation now. All right, so everybody should be in the same meeting now, I think. All right, so the link to the parent portal is here. And we do want parents to check the parent portal at least once per week to know how your children are doing. Let me put it in the right place here. To know how your children are doing. If for some reason you have trouble accessing the parent portal, and most often you just need to click on the request a new password, because most of our families have had an active parent portal account at some point in elementary school or even at Lilburn Middle School. And if you have trouble with the parent portal account, please contact me and I'll help you problem solve. I don't know if I still have the, yeah, I still have the poll open. So I was asking how you heard about this event this evening, and as you may know, the county has transitioned to using Parent Square as the primary communication method for our families. And the beautiful thing about Parent Square, I said I was going to speak in Spanish too. The beautiful thing about Parent Square is that it translates languages. So if you prefer the Spanish or whatever language, it'll automatically translate it into your language and translate it back to us. And I don't know if I need to go through all of these bullet points, because we do have other Inform with Irish meetings coming up, and you'll get other communications from us. And Dr. Irish, I guess you could let me know how far down you want me to go on this. Pero si necesita ayuda con su cuenta de portal de padres, me avise, pero normalmente solo necesita pedir una nueva contraseña. Y el distrito escolar ya cambiaron su forma de comunicación principal para que ya utilicemos la aplicación se llama Parent Square. And also, we're asking families to read the weekly Parent Center newsletter. Pedimos que revise las noticias de la semana que mandamos cada fin de semana. And then you have some other things, some of which have already been mentioned already, but I can leave it at that, Dr. Irish, for now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Doing.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, I think that we have gone through a lot of information today. The last thing that I want to let you know is that we do have a student handbook. We did ask all of our students to read the handbook because it's really important to understand the differences in the expectations from elementary to middle, or as they prepare for high school. So if you could just encourage your student to read it and read it along with them. It's not really a long document, but it's really important. And it will help you just understand the expectations that we have here at school. My main priority, as the principal, is making sure that we all understand the expectations so that our students can be safe. So we have almost 1,700 students in our school, and I know that that can't be a guarantee. We can't control how every student chooses to behave. However, if we have expectations that we all understand, then we can, have a good school climate. And so that's really what we're striving for. We just want our students to be safe and successful. And it starts with them understanding what we expect. So if you have not noticed that there's a handbook, it's on their e-class page. You can, and I think it's on the website as well, but you can have your student pull it up and you guys can kind of glance at it together and look at some of the key things. Some frequent things that we're noticing are dress code. Dress code is getting better. I know last year we really had a lot of dress code issues. This year, not so much. I think students are really just getting the hang of how to dress to be here at school. So we really don't have a big problem with dress code, but we do see sometimes where we got pajama pants on, or, many holes in our pants, or things that don't meet dress code. So maybe if you can look at the handbook in that area. And then the other thing is our cell phone policy. We have a off and away policy. We know that for safety reasons, some students have to have a phone so that they can communicate with you when they get off the school bus, or we have a few who walk. But we do ask you to encourage your student to have it off and away, because that is the expectation while here at school. That's our policy. We have phones in every grade level office. So if a student needs to contact you during the day, they can use a phone that's in the grade level office, but we really just want to have that distraction removed. And I'm going to pause here because I know Mr. Doyne has to fill everyone in on what we just talked about.
Thank you, Dr. Irish. And I did put the translation of what you said in the chat, but I'll just review it quickly. Le pedimos a los papás que revisen el manual del estudiante con sus hijos para asegurarnos que todos los niños y los papás sepan las reglas y expectativas de la escuela para que mantengamos un ambiente seguro aquí en la escuela. Unos áreas en que enfocamos más es el código de vestimenta. Por ejemplo, a veces llevan pantalones de pijama que no se permite y también con los agujeros en los pantalones. Y así podría ayudarnos con la política de los teléfonos. Los estudiantes deben tener los teléfonos apagados y fuera de vista. Si necesita comunicar con ustedes, tenemos teléfonos en las oficinas y también ustedes nos podrían marcar en las oficinas también.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I just wanted to really quickly walk through some thinking about conflict. We know that as our students get to know each other, they may discover, okay, I'm not getting along with a particular person, or someone's not getting along with me. So then that's when we see the conflict arise. We will have, as you heard earlier, SEL lessons around conflict with our students, but we wanted to arm you with some information so that you can help talk to your students at home just about conflict, that conflict is a normal part of life, because we all don't always agree, and that's okay. But how we handle it is going to be really important. So I'll pause and let the translation happen.
Entendemos que el conflicto es parte de la vida y tratamos de enseñarles a los niños para resolucionar conflictos en una manera madura para que estén más preparados para el mundo cuando sean más grandes también. Pero vamos a hablar acerca de cómo resolucionar conflictos y cuáles son conflictos.
Okay, so when we talk to your students about, or your children, our students about conflict, we'll be talking about what conflict is, trying to help them to understand. It's just a disagreement, whether it's because you have different ideas, beliefs, or interests. And we may ask them to do certain activities to identify what they think conflict is. Because we know that some have a different background knowledge, but we want to make sure that all of our students understand conflict to begin with.
Primero hablamos acerca de cuáles son conflictos y conflictos son desacuerdos en ideas y otra cosa, pero primero hay que entender cuáles son conflictos, cómo se define conflictos.
Okay, we also talk to our students about how to identify why a conflict happens. Sometimes we see repeated conflicts because they're not able to identify when it's happening or why. And so they continue to put themselves in that situation, but we want them to know how to identify why, what causes a conflict.
Okay, queremos que los niños saben cómo identificar por qué ocurren los conflictos. Queremos que sepan identificar cuáles son conflictos y cuáles no son conflictos.
Okay, we also talk to them about arguments. A lot of our students think that because I have a conflict, I have to have it in an argumentative way. But conflict does not equal arguments. And so we try to identify for them what an argument is so that they can understand the difference between a conflict and an argument.
Hablamos con los niños para que sepan cuál es la diferencia entre cuál es un argumento y cuál es un conflicto.
Okay, so what do we argue about? Different reasons that we argue, and we try to connect that to things that are happening in their every school life. If you want to use some of this content in your home, you could connect it to things that you see them having conflict in your home about, or that you have conflict with them about. And so you just want to help identify the things that we're arguing about, because again, once they can identify it, then we can start to help improve it.
Y también hablamos acerca de en qué tenemos conflictos o argumentos entre niños para que ellos sepan cómo identificar estas áreas para que puedan resolucionar cualquier conflicto.
Okay, and then just a little game hint. We've had a couple of numbers being shared, so those who are paying attention have gotten a few clues, but remember, we're still collecting those numbers. So as you see them, just jot them down. All right, peer pressure. Sometimes we have conflict because our classmates are telling us to do something we don't want to do. And we see that happen a lot where students will have arguments that do not resolve quickly because of peer pressure. Like maybe I'm not necessarily mad at a person, but someone else who I'm related to or are friends with, they're mad at the person. So therefore I now have to own this conflict too. So I'm pressured into having the conflict.
A veces hay conflictos debido de presión del grupo. A veces no quiero hacer algo, pero alguien de mis compañeros o mis amigos están tratando de presionarme para hacer algo que no quiero hacer.
Yeah, and so and I'm gonna pause here because this I would say, and counselors, y'all can jump in because when there's a conflict, the counselors have to get involved. So what I see, and I'm not a counselor, but they can tell you, but what I see happen is that most of our fights are because of I'm taking a side. Like maybe I don't necessarily have an issue with the person, but I have to now because my friend does. And so a good conversation to have could be how to be a good friend when a friend is having a conflict with another without putting yourself in the middle of that fight.
Una buena idea es porque la mayoría de nuestras peleas se deben a que la gente toma partido de un lado. Entonces, una conversación beneficiosa sería que hable con sus niños acerca de la importancia de no tomar lado, pero también se puede ser un buen amigo sin tomar lados en una pelea.
All right. And different, I'm sorry, Ms. Edwards, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Dorn, could you just back slide back for a second, please? I want to add that because I feel like it's another important piece. So under the peer pressure piece comes the instigating, and hearsay is what we get a lot. What that means is, oh, well, my friend told me so and so wants to fight me. And so my question is always, well, did the person themselves say they wanted to fight you? No. I said, well, is that something that we need to bring attention to, or is that something we can ignore? You know, and so that is where that decision making comes in but that's a really big issue when we are peeling the layers back to find out why we have conflicts. It's really not our conflict. It's other people telling us that we have a conflict.
That's right, that we should.
Yeah.
Dice la contera, Ms. Edwards, que a veces eso es un problema, que las peleas a veces empiezan cuando un amigo me dijo que alguien más quiere pelear conmigo, pero necesitamos investigar si de verdad era así. Quizás solo es como chisme o algo que alguien no dijo verdad eso antes, pero entonces ese toma parte del problema a veces.
All right, and then differences in values. Sometimes we see name calling, like low tolerance towards someone who may be different. And so we spend some time talking to our students about differences that people may have, and that you may not agree with it, but we just have to respect someone else's decision. So we do see that happening, but I will say that we have a very tolerant school in the sense that we have so many different cultures and so many different ethnicities represented that our students don't get involved in this too much, but we do see the drama between friends happening a lot. So this one does happen sometimes.
A veces surgen problemas cuando hay diferencia de valores. Tenemos que respetar la forma de vida, o al menos no tengamos conflictos aquí en la escuela en la forma de vida de alguien. Hemos visto que tenemos una escuela muy tolerante aquí también.
All right, so the next thing, and we're almost finished with the learning for tonight, but the next thing that we want you to know is to talk to students, your children, about the signs of conflict. Sometimes, I'm just kind of going into an area where I know I've had a conflict with that person and it's kind of all set up to not be a good situation, but I'm still kind of going into it. So we just want our students, and this is not just specific to Lilburn, this is just a life safety lesson. that if we see the signs of a conflict happening, let's see, what we need to do to make sure that I personally am aware of what's happening, that I'm personally safe. Is someone demonstrating strong emotions toward me, the body language, and so on and so forth. So just to be able to read those signs and then act accordingly to that can really stop a lot of the conflict that we will see happen.
Es importante que hablamos con los niños sobre cómo identificar temprano los signos de conflicto antes de que se conviertan en un problema más grande.
Okay, and we would show your students something like this so that they can get an idea of the different emotions and body language. But the main thing is that we want our students to avoid conflicts that will rise into a aggressive argument or a different physical situation. Conflicts cannot be fully avoided, but that's a way that some people try to deal with it by just staying out of it or staying away from it. We do encourage students, as you heard earlier, to ignore things that are not that big of a problem. However, ignoring only works for a certain extent of time. And so at some point they do need to make a report. They do need to let you know as the parent or a school staff member know so that we can help them with that situation. And I'm going to skip over that. The next thing that we try to do is to bring them together. So you may hear if there is a conflict, the counselor may bring them together to do a mediation or try to come up with some common way of solving that problem. If there is a safety concern, then the mediation will not probably happen. Like we probably won't put them in the same space, but typically that is a pretty common thing that we do with our students is that we will do a mediation.
Okay. Entonces, queremos que nuestros alumnos eviten que los conflictos se conviertan en una situación de agresión. Queremos que los estudiantes ignoren las situaciones tanto como sea posible y luego hagan un informe si la situación no se resuelve. A veces un consejero o una consejera va a reunir a los estudiantes para una mediación. Si hay un problema de seguridad no lo haremos.
Okay, and we just talked about the mediation. And the final thing is we teach our students a strategy called talk. So we ask them to take a time out. Don't continue in the situation if you're getting upset. We want them to allow each person to tell their side of the story. Let each person ask the other questions and then brainstorm together solution. So keep brainstorming together until they come up with a solution. All right, so this is a tool for you guys, and this is the last slide on conflict. If your child is really struggling with understanding conflict or solving conflicts, then we're asking you to use one of these two strategies. Last year, each time that we met, we gave you a strategy to try to, practice in your home. And then when we came back together, we asked you, how did it work? Did it work or not? So this is our trial period. We're going to ask you to try the circle pizza strategy. And that's where you divide a circle into 8 pieces and ask your student to list out 4 things that are positive about what's taking place and then 4 things that are negative. And then have them weigh out the pros and cons. This is something that we do as adults, but children have a really hard time doing. Oftentimes, if there's any negative, they can only describe the negative, but we try to encourage them to see the positive and negative in situations so that they can see it for reality. And I'm gonna pause here because I know Mr. Doyne will probably want to get caught up.
Estamos enseñando una estrategia cada reunión con la directora. En esta estrategia estamos pidiendo para resolucionar conflicto, para buscar resolución de problemas. En este ejemplo, en esta estrategia pedimos que divide un círculo en 8 partes y va a enumerar 4 cosas que sean positivas y 4 cosas que sean negativas. Y luego van a soplar los pros y las contras para determinar una manera saludable para resolucionar el conflicto o el problema.
Okay, and then the other strategy you can use is called inner and outer circle. You're going to draw a circle and then on the middle, draw another smaller circle. And you're going to have your child, if they're getting caught up in conflict, right in the middle, what can you control? What are you in control of? Then on the outside, write all the things you're not in control of. Because what we notice is a lot of students will have conflict because of someone else's behavior. Well, you can't control that other person's behavior, but what can you control of your behavior to fix the situation? So this is something you could also use as a strategy in your home with your children.
Y la otra estrategia que dice que está explicando la directora es que va a dibujar un círculo interior y un otro exterior para identificar lo que puedes y lo que no puedes controlar para que se enfoque más en lo que puedes controlar.
Okay. All right. So then that is all. Now we have finished offering the codes. We've finished talking about many things that are going on here at our school. We have shared about conflict. So you have gotten a little bit of an experience of the conflict conversation that we'll be having with students. And now it's time to see who has paid attention during the entire presentation. So if you feel like you can unlock the code to the prize, please put the code in the chat and we'll see who has all pieces of the code. And I see the first one is Mr. Coy Johnson. Is that Mr. Johnson?
Y estamos averiguando quién estaba prestando atención para toda la reunión, quién tiene el código. Si tiene el código, si ha prestado atención para toda la reunión, que ponga el código ahí en el chat.
All right, so it looks like Mr. Johnson, you are the winner. Yay! All right, congratulations, Mr. Johnson. You unlocked the code. The code was 14793. We had those numbers hidden in the presentation, and we see lots of parents coming in. I think that we're going to take our first English speaking and Spanish speaking. So Mr. Coy Johnson and Miss Beatrice Gonzalez, you guys are our winners tonight. Congratulations, and we thank all of our families for playing along and listening along to us as we share this information with you. We are going, someone said 30093.
Got that one.
That's a good try. Okay, so we will have something for these two winners. We're going to ask you the name of your students and send it with them home to you. You can send me a direct private message if you know how to do that, and I'll write down your students' names. And we'll get the prize going home to you. We have nothing else to present, but we do thank you. We're so proud of the number of parents who came out to our first Inform with Iris session. We went a little bit over, trying to get the technology organized in the beginning, but we do thank you for attending. And with that being said, we want y'all to have a great night, and we will see you around our campus, hopefully on the PTSA, if not just at other events. Have a great evening, and we'll see you around.
And I know that there were some questions, so if we didn't get to your question, please email me. Dr. Arias, does that make sense? Please email me and I'll work to make sure you get an answer. Si no recibió una respuesta de alguna pregunta de esta reunión, que me mande un mensaje, un correo o cualquier método de comunicación para que podamos contestar su pregunta.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I have her name. Can you ask Ms. Gonzalez to put her student's name in there? too?
Okay, señor González, que dijo la directora que ganó el premio para los hispanohablantes en esta reunión, que ponga el nombre de su niño aquí en el chat, señor González, por favor.
Ms. Hernandez. Thank you. We appreciate all of our families. We want you to have a great night, and we will see you around. Thank you.
Hey, good night.
Okay, I think she put the name there. That was Jade Tellez.
That's okay. Tellez.
I think, did I get that right?
Jade Tellez.
I hope that was the right Miss Gonzalez.
It was Miss Beatrice.
And
Okay.
just to explain, I think some of our families weren't sure about the code that I was talking about. Hubo como números durante la reunión y estaba pidiendo que ponga los números consecutivos. Hubo como un código de la reunión, si estaba ahí en el principio de la reunión, es lo que estábamos pidiendo. Y entonces el código no era el código postal, era un código diferente. Pero cada reunión la directora quiere hacer un juego así para que sea más divertido este tipo de reunión.
Okay, all right, so we normally do a countdown, and we're gonna count down to signing off to make sure everyone knows if you have a question. We're gonna ask you to email Mr. Doyne, and we will make sure that we get an answer to you. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Have a great night, everyone. And we're signing off in 3, 2, and 1. We'll see you next month. Have a great month. Have a great night, and we'll see you around our building.